Welcome to our viewers on Globespan 24/7. We are sorry that we are a bit late. We had some technical issues, but has been resolved. So we are now on the air. We want to, at this time, acknowledge that the students of Guyana went back to school today in some schools. We want to wish the teachers, the parents, the students, and all of the Ministry of Education a very happy semester as they go into the Christmas term. Here in the US today, we celebrated Labor Day. So happy Labor Day to all of the viewers here in the United States. We want to thank Nohar Singh for making this platform available, and of course, Devin Bisu, our technical specialist. We want to thank you, our audience, for joining us today as we have with us no stranger. And I believe also for the second time since he resumed the office of minister, we have with us the Honorable Minister of Public Works, Minister Juan Edghill. Minister, welcome to the program tonight.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Good evening to all your viewers and listeners. And it's certainly a joy to be able to spend this time with you and your audience tonight. It's been a while that I have not been on Globespan. You've been behind me and others for a while, but I'm happy that we could find the time tonight to discuss these issues. And like you said a little earlier, here in Guyana, I think we want to celebrate the fact that because of the visionary leadership and the implementation and management of our COVID-19 situation, we have been able to get schools reopened. We are undertaking vaccination for our children 12 to 17 or under 18 years to 12 years, and that is going very well. So today is a day that we could celebrate. After 17 months, our kids have been out of school, face-to-face learning. We are returning to some normalcy in a very safe manner with caring and loving teachers to embrace those kids as they walk back into the classroom. So it's so good to be here tonight.
Thank you, Minister. And of course, my co-host, Dr. Rose. Dr. Rose, welcome.
Thank you, Charles, and welcome, Minister.
Thank you, Dr. Rose.
Minister, I want to get straight into our information gathering, and I know asking politicians to curtail their answers is a sometimes impossible task, especially politicians in the Caribbean. But I'll ask you tonight, we have a lot of things to cover. If you can give us the answers as we ask them. Minister, first thing I want to talk about is the Edghill International Airport. Before you left office in 2015, there was a contract with a Chinese contractor. And then when the coalition took over, the contract was changed. Now you're back on. When you became minister again, there was some discussion of the redoing the contract to reflect what it was pre-2015. Is the contract now completed or is still work to be done? And what do we expect to be completed with this contract?
Well, I'm happy that we could talk about this because the Edghill International Airport for the government of Guyana, led by the PPPC, was not a standalone project. The Edghill International Airport fitted into a scheme of modernization and transformation of Guyana. It carried with it the building of the Marriott Hotel, getting an internationally branded hotel into Guyana, expanding more airlines into Guyana for air travel, boosting our ecotourism brand, seeking to improve the export of our non-traditional crops, which will require larger cargo space for direct destinations. So when we went into the Edghill International Modernization Project, it was to make Guyana a hub to link South America and the Caribbean, to open new gateways and new pathways. It was supposed to be a turnkey project. The Chinese were supposed to deliver to us a modern airport with 8 air bridges. We left office and everything excepted that happened. We had a renovated terminal building. It came down to 4 air bridges. The footprints were significantly reduced. We were getting less and practically paying more. When we got back into office, as minister responsible for the aviation sector, I frontally addressed this matter, and I received the support from the highest level, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali himself, who said to the Chinese, "We will not accept the project as is." After months of toing and froing, we were able to get the Chinese to agree to do additional works at their cost, at no cost to the government of Guyana. One, they had to put in a curtain wall, which will give a different appearance of the airport. Work for that is ongoing. Because of the reduction of the footprint and the space, there was practically no space for shops and concessions. So they had to put up the superstructure to facilitate concessions and shops and restaurants and so on. And we will do the retrofitting, but they had to put up the superstructure. And they also had to put boarding corridors to accommodate Code D and Code E type aircraft, which meant they would have had to add 2 other corridors to facilitate 2 other air bridges. You would have seen just last week, we signed the contract for the purchase of the 2 additional air bridges. We had an addendum that was signed, and works are to be completed for December 31st, 2021. So essentially, what happened is that about $23 million out of the contract that we left was removed. $23 million worth of work was removed from that contract that we left. And we were able to get substantially a number of things restored to be able to get much more than what was being offered under the APNU AFC tenure. So we're looking towards the completion of this project. Sadly, some of the shipping have been delayed because of what is happening around the world, where the containers and shipping difficulties as a result of COVID. We should have been much more advanced based upon the signed addendum that we had last December. But basically, we are being constrained by shipping issues right now, and we're looking forward for the completion of this project.
Thank you, Bishop, Minister. And so at the end of December of this year, you're telling the nation that the airport will be finally completed.
That is our intention, but like I said, with the reality of the shipping issues, we may have a slippage of a couple of months, maybe 2 months or 3 months into 2022.
Okay, so when
as a matter of fact, I can tell you right now, on Friday morning of this week, we will be doing the ribbon cutting for the new extended runway, as well as the launching of the ILS system, which is the sophisticated landing system. We've spent a couple $100 million to put that in place, which will basically alleviate what we used to have, jets being turned away in the early mornings because of the mist or the fog, and having to go to other destinations to land. So we have been able to train our air navigation people. We've just graduated a number of them. We have the instrument landing system in place. We have the extended runway in place. The GCAA, they are putting out the new regulations, which we have already engaged all of the airlines. So the modernization is not just the physical infrastructure of additional air bridges and restaurants, but it includes the modernization of the technology for safety in landing and takeoff under all kinds of conditions as well.
Thank you, Minister. You know, Mr. Aftab Karimullah, he is one of Guyana's one of Guyana's brightest sons, actually, and Mr. Lochan. They're together working in Guyana. And he sent to me a statement saying that the PPP will be remembered as the infrastructure government. And I believe what you just said here is the beginning of many things to come. So, Minister, when it's done, how many bridges will we have at the Chedicega International Airport?
It will be 6.
6 bridges. With anticipation for future traffic, if there is more than 6 aircraft at the same time at the airport, are there consideration later on to extend the terminal to put in more bridges?
Our original design was for 8 air bridges. And with those 8 air bridges, accommodation for Code D and Code E aircraft. And for your viewing public, that is to emphasize the wider body double aisle aircraft carrying 300 plus, sometimes up to almost 500 passengers, the transatlantic long haul flights. We will have 6, but we envisage in the original design 8. Thanks to the APNU AFC for what they did in reducing the footprint. Right now, the 2 additional corridors to accommodate air bridges will not be within immediately adjoined to the building. It would have to be a corridor outside of the building because they reduce the footprint. But as a government, we are proceeding with the modernization of the Chedicega International Airport. You will have also known that just quite recently, one of our local sons, and he must be congratulated, Roy Basu, we would have turned the sod for the building of a courtyard Marriott at the Chedicega International Airport. That's just number 1. It's by no means the end, but that's just number 1, because we want to be able to build services around the airport. Guyana must be a place, a preferred destination for stopovers. It must be a preferred destination for connections. We are strategically poised and positioned with now the oil and gas economy developing in Guyana as well. We expect more traffic, people coming from further afield. We want to be able to talk with more airlines. So yes, there possibly will be times when we will have more than 6 planes in, and we have to start thinking about continuing the expansion. With the APNU AFC degutting that original contract, there was no room for airline offices and bond storage for duty-free shops. We have just had to sign a contract for $500+ million to build an office complex in the same compound to facilitate airline offices and other arrangements. Definitely, the APNU AFC mismanaged this project. We got a lot less than we should have had. You know how difficult it is when a government signs an agreement with a contractor, and next government coming to change that agreement. But we were able to say to China Harbor, we're not accepting this contract the way it is and the way the arrangement you have. We have to do better. And yes, because of strong negotiations, we've been able to improve it. Some of it will be done at their expense, and others we have to envisage Guyana into 2040, 2050, what will be our needs, and we have to keep modernizing and developing. And by no means the Chedicega International Airport will be our only international airport. We have to develop Ogle, which we have already done. They have renamed it the Eugene Carré International Airport. Yeah. We have to develop Lethem as a regional hub. People must be able to fly from the Caribbean to Lethem onto South America as a regional hub. And then we must also be able to, in the aviation sector, develop other hubs in our interior. So everybody don't have to fly out of Ogle to a destination in the interior. But let's say from Madja, there must be flights from Madja to Cato, Madja to Parmakatai, not just merely shuttles, but you can have a flight coming out of Ogle to Madhya and smaller planes going to other destinations. So we have to develop regional hubs. So that's part of our vision on the horizon. Guyana will not be and remain the backward country that she was under the underdeveloped years of dictatorial leadership of the past. We have visionary leadership. We are progressing with the modernization of Guyana, not just for the international traveler, but we are modernizing and transforming Guyana for Guyanese and for the benefit of all the people of Guyana.
So, Minister, thank you. But two questions quickly before I ask Dr. Rose. One is, so now that aircraft that like 747 can now touch down at Chattanooga International Airport, and just mentioned, hopefully it will be a hub for maybe flights to Africa, flight to other South American nations that can bring in tremendous revenue. Then, of course, the bridges will have to be increased. What will be the final cost of the airport when this has been completed, the runway and the building itself?
I think right now, this was supposed to be a $150 million project. $138 million financed from the China Exim Bank and $12 million from the Consolidated Fund, taxpayers' money. As it is, because of the agreement that the APNU AFC went into with China Harbor, we had to, the China Harbor only provided 2 of the boarding bridges. The APNU AFC, with the adjusted agreement, agreed to buy the boarding bridges, a turnkey project that you were supposed to get an airport with 8 boarding bridges. When they finished with the renegotiated position, they only got 2 boarding bridges. And we had to pay for another 2. I think they spent almost $350 million at that time for 2. So that's close to $1.7 million US. We have just signed for another 2 boarding bridges, which is another $2 million US. So that would be 150 plus counting. So then they left out things. We now very soon will be developing the car park, and it will be an automated car park, very well lit and secure, and the rest of it. The sewerage system has to be addressed, and we are working on that. The water treatment system is all part of that.
I get it, Minister. Something is wrong.
Yeah, go on, Minister.
Yes, the issue, you will recall that a while back, and those are problems we had to solve. Passengers couldn't use the washrooms at the airport, and the fumes were coming out. Thanks to the APNU AFC and what they were doing there, we came in and we had to start getting those things fixed. There were about 1,500 items on the master tracking list that had to be fixed, and 71 critical items for the functionality of the airport. We've been able to get those 71 critical items fixed, and the majority of the 1,500 items on the master tracking list with the contractors identified and fixed. So there is significant improvement, and I think the costs, the final cost, we'll have to keep working at that with the infrastructure that China Harbor signed on to in terms of putting up the curtain wall and the corridors and the superstructure. They have not given us a cost for that, but my local engineers have told me it will be anywhere between 11 and 13 million US dollars of work that they will be required to do to get that done. So we'll have to put all of that together at the end.
So conservatively, we're looking like maybe 200, 250 million.
I don't think it's going to be 200 million.
Okay. And the runaway, Minister, what's the cost of the runaway?
The runaway was part of the package of the 150 million. It wasn't separate.
Okay. And Minister, before Dr. Rose come on, those hubs you talk about, Letem and Mabaroom and different areas, what time frame are we looking at to see those set up? I know you're saying the future, but is there any idea when we can see those things come to fruition?
My charge that I've received from President Irfan Ali is that we have to get as much done within the 5 years
Okay.
of our first term.
Okay, thank
you. That's
you,
what we're doing.
Dr. Rose.
Thank you, Charles, and Minister Juan Edghill, Bishop Juan Edghill, welcome to the program. Tonight I'm going to touch on a topic that has not been discussed much in Guyana in public, and that is religion. Studies have shown over the years that the vast majority of churches in Guyana and in other countries as well are not attracting youths. As a bishop, why do you think youths are not, or our youths are disinterested in religion or in churches? And why this is?
Well, I'll have to say, from where I sit and where I operate, my church attracts the majority youth. So I can't agree with that statement. I think it's because we are relevant, we are current. Our message is one that empowers youth, not just for religious lifestyle, but for citizenship and living as a person, future, marriage, children, business, pursuing their career, living lives of purpose. So it has to do with which denomination or which group. The traditional church, as you will know it, is suffering badly because they have not changed their approach to ministry, and they have not changed their approach towards human life and the evolving society. But I can tell you the charismatic evangelical Pentecostal church, there is no shortage of youth. Look among the pastors, look among the congregations. Youth is in the forefront. I've gone to churches from the traditional community where the choir, the youngest member might be 75. And I've gone to churches where the ushers at the door might be, youngest might be 65 or 70. But you can see across the spectrum of Guyana, and we must admit the Pentecostal Evangelical Charismatic Church has really made an inroad and an impact. In some instances, it has been misused and abused, and I prefer not to discuss that on tonight's program, because just today you would have seen images of both at West Babis and in Linden, an abuse of the church community for the purposes of protest. But I can tell you up front, there is no shortage of youth in the environment that I operate.
Okay. It seems to the general public that crimes and violence, especially domestic violence, have increased in Guyana, and I will say in other countries in recent times. But despite police statistics that show otherwise in Guyana, why have not the church engaged in helping to fight crimes? Why previous governments have not engaged the church, previous and present governments have not engaged the church in fighting crimes and violence? And why the churches have not done so by themselves?
Well, let me just say, if I'm to charge the government for the work that the church does in crime fighting, the government would be unable to pay. Every time the church, through its message, reforms a young man. For example, my main church, the Winners Cathedral, is in Durban Street Lodge. And I repeat for emphasis, Durban Street Lodge. I went there in 1990, no church functioning, no one even wanted to go into lodge. The roads were in a state of disrepair. Everybody before a magistrate, their address was somewhere in lodge, just like it was in Whitestone or Tiger Bay. We have a beautiful ministry there. Young men who were vagrants, ex-convicts, they are now in the church. That is part of crime fighting. Every time a person reforms, finds purpose in life, pursues a family, raises their kids, embraces the dignity of work, understands principles of honesty and respect, and working with their hands for their prosperity, it's one less person who the police and the government have to deal with in a penal institution or before the judicial system. So the church is making a significant role. The issue of domestic violence and some aspects of crime, it's not only that there is more crime is now more reported, or it's more sensitized and made sensual in the news because of the forms of media that are available. Facebook, people can actually show the image of the man stealing the cell phone, but the gas bottle used to be stolen, the pickpockets used to be there all the time. But what we have is the heightened reporting on crime. So yes, the church is making its contribution, perhaps not enough. Sometimes some people say we are losing the battle, but I would want to say as a bishop and as a pastor who leads pastors, that I know the men and women across the country are making every effort to influence change at the community level, at the village level, ensuring that we work with our people to project purpose, living life with purpose, helping our people through school, ensure they have a proper career path, helping with extra lessons, ensuring that they have the support systems to get through college and university, helping the single moms to be able to send their kids to school. These are not things that should be overlooked. And the church do that without any tax breaks or tax concessions. The church does it because of the love of people, the love of God, and the love of community. When we serve people, we serve God. So we take time to serve people. Perhaps that is not spoken about enough. So the sensational man who kills his wife and then hangs himself makes the front page, but we don't talk about the 30 or 40 wife abusers who have passed through counseling and they now have solid marriages where they have sought forgiveness of their spouse and children, and they're mending and healing. Those things don't make the front page. So we have to also look at it from that angle. But I'm not defending the fact that much more needs to be done as it relates to crime fighting. Every time I see a young man or a young woman or an aged person participating in crime, not just violent crime, but white-collar crimes, fraud, trickery, deception, it tells me that the depravity of men's heart needs to be addressed. Something needs to be done. There's much more work that needs to be done. And the way to do that is by strengthening the family. And I would want to say that the unit that makes a difference in the life of a person is not just the community, but it's the family. We need more men taking responsibility in their homes. We need more men embracing their daughters and showing them love. We need more men taking responsibility in the home, not just as a sperm donor or as a financier, but as a leader, a priest, a king, a real father in their own home. So I think much more needs to be done to strengthen families. And I think if there's anything that the police, government, judicial systems can work with the church to do is to work on programs on strengthening family life.
Okay, Minister, thanks. Now I'm turning to your subject. Very good answer so far. Now, during the past few months, you have been all over the country, cutting ribbons to open up new roads, etc., etc. But the roads in Georgetown, our beautiful city, are in a deplorable state. Why are they not being fixed by the government?
Well, the roads in Georgetown are being fixed. Maybe not all the roads in Georgetown are being fixed, but let me explain. There is a mayor and town council in Georgetown. People pay taxes. The Ministry of Public Works, in the first instance, has the responsibility to take care of declared public roads. It is the local authority that needs to take care of what you want to call other roads. But even though the municipality and the towns and the villages in some instances have not been doing what they're supposed to do. Some of them say they don't have enough money. They're not able to generate enough revenue to do that. The government has introduced what is called its Miscellaneous Roads Program. Under the Miscellaneous Roads Program, between 2020 to now, we have done more than 600 roads, across the country. And then in the townships, we have what is called our Urban Road Project, our Urban Road Program. And we have done between 2020 to now more than 30 roads in the townships. We are developing a program to address the deficit. Remember, Dr. Rose, we're in government 1 year, having been out of government for 5 years. And during that 5 years, what we had was a deficit in terms of maintenance, a deficit in terms of taking care of things that matters. For example, the Demerara Harbor Bridge, when I took office, it wasn't maintained. So we now have to spend more than $1.6 billion, 1.6 billion with a B, to do maintenance on a bridge. But if it was being maintained year by year by year, we would have been able to use that money to do other things. So we have done significant work in Georgetown. As a matter of fact, just a few weeks ago, maybe about 6 weeks ago, we had 5 contractors doing road maintenance work in Georgetown. And you know what's the big cry right now in Guyana? I would like my road to be fixed. And one of the reasons why people would like their road to be fixed is because they actually see roads being fixed. They were so accustomed to not having their roads fixed. The anxiety is, when are you coming to mine? The deficit is so great. So we are doing work. We wish we had more money to do more, but we have been able to find fiscal space to do work in terms of our miscellaneous roads. We have been able to do work in the urban centers. And when I say the urban centers, not just Georgetown, Linden, New Amsterdam, Rose Hall, Corriverton, Madia, Mabaruma, Lethem, wherever we have towns, Bartica, everywhere we've been doing work, and we have to spread it around. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I can say without fear of contradiction is that in terms of our roads program, whether it's hinterland roads, miscellaneous roads, or urban roads, or major highways that we are doing, work has been done in all 10 administrative regions, in all of the local authority areas, and there has been no discrimination as it relates to the rollout of programs to bring benefit to the citizens of Guyana. Okay. Everywhere is benefiting. Everywhere is benefiting. So your statement of being all over the country is to ensure, while we may not be doing everything in Georgetown, work is being done across the country in an equitable manner.
Okay, a quick question for you, Minister. Georgetown is our beautiful capital city. When are you going to fix the traffic lights?
They are fixed and they are being maintained. We have a major problem with motorists that are crashing into them. We have a number that are presently being repaired because of motor vehicle accidents. You would have seen in all of our major highways, traffic control is now a major part of our system. So maintaining of traffic lights is a major part of our work. We have an entire unit at the Ministry of Public Works that monitor these traffic lights, ensure they are properly programmed, they are properly aligned to the traffic buildup, and they are able to disperse the traffic in a proper manner. The adjustments are being made. But one of we have suffered two things, I should say, where traffic lights are concerned. Stealing of the solar panels, and I repeat, because it's a shameful act, stealing of the solar panels, and secondly, the accidents that damage these poles, hit them out, lorries, trucks, buses, the recklessness on our roads, and restoring these things are quite costly. So the ones that are not working is because of damage or because of theft. but we have a number of our traffic lights that are functioning, and our people are out there on a daily basis to ensure that they are going. Georgetown is not perfect. Georgetown is not perfect.
I hate to cut you, but only a few traffic lights are working. The vast majority are not working in Georgetown.
Why would you say the vast majority? I don't want to dispute you, but as the minister responsible, I drive around the city, and I can tell you right now the ones that are not functioning because of the issues that I would have raised.
Okay.
You know, when we were in government the last time, it was the PPPC through a loan that put in place traffic lights in the Georgetown area. Georgetown used to have 3 or 4 traffic lights. We believe in proper traffic management and proper traffic control. We made that investment under the presidency of Barajagdio, and we are maintaining and expanding the new Sheriff Mandela Road that is being built. Will have a number of traffic lights. You go along the East Bank all the way out to Grove Diamond. There are traffic lights that are working. Houston, we have put in a new traffic light. You have an Eccles, you have the bridge, you have all the way up, and in Georgetown properly of itself. Regent Street or Main Street.
Minister Dr. Rose, we take a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. Audience, don't know where we'll be back shortly.
Travelspan Curry Duck Curry 2021 in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic was a massive success. Starting from Thursday into every night after, entertainers were on hand. Then came the Dominican-born Bollywood dancers that just awed the crowd. Many of our guests took day tours and visited the local market areas. Curry goat, curry, and bake and saltfish were among the tasty delights. Then came the big moment of the Curry Duck Curry competition. All guests were able to enjoy duck, and halal duck was also available for all Muslims. History was in the making with West Indian and Indian culture with Travelspan Curry Duck Curry. Let Travelspan arrange your flights, vacations, honeymoons, or cruises, and let allfromonesupplier.com deliver your duck, goat, and chicken, or all your West Indian items. On behalf of Travelspan, All From One Supplier, and sponsors, we wish to thank you for making this trip a memorable one. Folks, the Nest Restaurant is the place to dine for Guyanese and Caribbean dishes. It is the best restaurant in Queens, the staff is courteous, and Dave the owner is always there to welcome you. So for a memorable dining experience, visit the Nest Restaurant located at 12717 101 Avenue, South Richmond Hill. Go and make a reservation today, or takeout, call 718-847-4035. Get your meals delivered directly to your home. Order your curry duck curry, goat, or chicken, plus your dalpuri roti and bus-up shot from allfromonesupplier.com. We ship your meals directly to your home, so you can enjoy it upon arrival or refrigerate it and take it out when you're ready to eat. No more waiting in lines and no more losing time. Now you can treat yourself with a tasty curry and roti. You can also order solos, ices, pear jacks, coconut water, and much more from allfromonesupplier.com. It is free shipping to all U.S. states on all your curry duck curry, goat, and chicken, plus sodas and all West Indian items. So treat yourself or send a gift box of your favorite food, tasty pastries, sweets, and coconut water, or any West Indian item, products such as fish, meats, curry powders, pepper sauces, and much more from allforonesupplier.com. Call today at 718-551-3292 or visit allfromonesupplier.com. Remember, it's free shipping throughout the U.S. For all your plumbing, heating, and cooling needs, call Zim Mechanical Inc. at 347-456-8885. Zim Mechanical Inc. installs boilers, hot water heaters, and cooling systems. Located at 9732 Waltham Street, Jamaica, Queens, Zim Mechanical Inc. also repairs and troubleshoots your gas, heating, and cooling systems. For quotes on prices and repairs, call 347-456-8885.
Back to our audience, we thank you for staying on with us as we have with us the Honorable Minister of Public Works, Minister Juan Edghill. Minister, if we want to continue with that, with the roads, and I want to talk about the existing roads that the government is responsible for. And I know Freddie Kissoon, our friend, keep bashing the roundabouts, but I believe, in my personal view, I see Barbados have maximized the roundabout. In England, they maximize the roundabout. If we can reduce traffic lights and put roundabout, I think that traffic flow will be much faster, I believe, once the drivers know how to operate with those roundabouts. But that's a different arrangement altogether. Minister,
well, we are utilizing roundabouts. You would have seen on the Sheriff Mandela. At David Street, we have put one.
Right.
Where the 4-lane is coming from Diamond through to Mandela, that road will be linked to the Sheriff Mandela by way of a roundabout. We have just awarded a contract for that roundabout. We are looking at exploring a roundabout at the Lamaha, Vicinjan, or Vin Street junction to create a better traffic flow. So yes, where it is at all possible, because you also have to have the land space to be able to have the roundabouts, and oftentimes how our drainage and irrigation canals are laid out and how houses are built, getting the kind of land to facilitate that is a challenge. But yes, we are looking at that.
But Minister, I'm sure you went to Barbados many times, you went to England a lot of times. You see, those roundabouts are very small roundabouts, but the people know exactly how to use it.
Well, they have a culture. I even in Geneva, it's amazing how the people stop, and it is almost like clockwork. This one go, the next one go, and it keeps going like that, and everybody's getting a chance to pass. But it's a culture. We have to change our road culture here in Guyana.
Well, one of the reasons, Minister, and this is not your ministry, but I think, and I'm not bashing the police force, but too many licenses were sold and our drivers don't know nothing about the rules of the road. That's my opinion, and I think that is still happening in Guyana, but that might be wrong. But Minister,
I don't think that Minister Ben would agree with you that licenses are still being sold, because he's moving heavily to stamp out corruption in the police force. Well,
one way to do it, I believe he should put a 2-year moratorium. All drivers must go back to classes, period. And you have 2 years to do it, but the exam should not be done by the police, should be done independent of the police. Let the police monitor the roads, but let someone else handle. But that's a different arrangement. Minister, Sheriff Street, existing project, Sheriff Street, Mandela Avenue. When will that project come to an end?
That project should have been completed since early August. We have since, well, like the airport, the Sheriff Street was another mess that we inherited. And sometimes to talk about these things sounds like you want to be political, you want to bash the previous administration. But while we were in government, we mobilized a $66 million loan to do Sheriff Mandela and several other projects. That whole program was rearranged by the David Granger administration. Sheriff Mandela ended up going out for a $32 million project. And when I came into government as minister, nothing was practically done on Sheriff Mandela for more than a year. The program was filled with controversy. The consultant, the contractor, the project engineers were at each other. As a matter of fact, the environment that existed was not one that would have even seen the completion of this road. I had to pull the project back together, get everybody around the table, and by August 20th, 2020, work had recommenced on Sheriff Mandela. If you could get a drone image of where the road is right now, the entire alignment is being constructed. We're all the way to the DSL turn by Banks DIH. Paving is taking place on the northern carriageway. They're up to Crusher Run level on the southern carriageway. As a matter of fact, the contractors contacted me over the weekend, indicating that he would like to start buying asphalt from the government's asphalt plant because he has a subcontractor, which I think is Brian Tiwari, who's not able to provide the asphalt in the quantities that he would like, at the rate that he would like to get the project pushing because of the timelines that we have set. But this project must be completed before October 31st this year, must be completed.
And we'll have a 4-lane road there, Minister?
It is a 4-lane road. The 4-lane begins at the Cultural Center and go all the way to the DSL. From the Cultural Center to the Rupert Craig Highway heading north is an upgraded 2-lane road, much wider, with much more space of parking and freer flow of traffic. We have done both bridges, both the Lamaha Bridge as well as the Arapaima Bridge. Those are things that are significant.
I know it might be difficult, Minister, but with that same intersection by DSL there, intersection of Mandela Avenue and the East Bank to that road there, have you considered doing a roundabout in that area? Because traffic there is also a big, terrible fiasco there.
Well, at this particular time, a roundabout is not in the works for that, because with how the traffic flow will go, it will be adequate. We have just completed Hunter Street, which we have turned into a 3-lane road. So traffic heading north from the East Bank have options of going around the Banks DIH using the Houston area, or going straight through Hunter Street, or you could also come down the 2 lanes from the 4-lane on the Sheriff Mandela, and you have a number of connector roads. Traffic heading west, you have a number of options as well. Traffic coming out of Georgetown. So I don't think there's need for a roundabout there right now. There are traffic lights, and with proper traffic control, we'll be able to manage that.
And I think the police also did a good job in the morning and the afternoon to help in the traffic there as well.
Well, the police help in the morning and in the afternoon when we're doing the double lane on the bridge, to be able to provide 3 lanes of traffic going up, and in the mornings to provide 3 lanes of traffic coming down, so as to be able to move the volume of the traffic. But in another 2 to 3 years, the police would not be required, because you'll have a 4-lane high-span bridge across the Demerara River, and that will be connected to 2 major 4-lane highways. A 4-lane highway that will link Ogle and Tamiri's airport, on this side, on the east side. On the west side, a 4-lane highway that will link Schoonard to Purika. So the bridge is not a standalone project. It's like I spoke a little earlier about the airport. It wasn't a standalone project. We're doing the bridge across the Demerara Harbor, the Demerara River, but we're also building 2 major 4-lane highways linking the 2 international airports, Ogle and Tamiri. And then we have a 4-lane moving off of Schoonard when you exit on the west side. You don't have to go back to Vredenhoek, where you could go straight down to Purika. And if you're going further into Region 7, you'll be connected with the Del Conte Road, which is going to take you all the way to Goshen. And the trucks and the miners who need to get into the interior don't need to have to go and offload their cargo on a ferry or a speedboat. We're also putting in a road from Sand Hills all the way to Falmouth in Region 7, linking Region 4 and Region 7. Just today, I got in the alignment by way of a plan and the project proposals, and our people are on the fields marking the alignment, putting down the poles. So there's going to be major highways being built.
And Minister, you preempt my question to you, but I'm glad you mentioned that. But before I get into that one, and Dr. Rose will come back on, the railway embankment. All the bridges almost on the rail embankment is in almost disrepair.
You haven't driven that area for a while. That's why you're saying that.
And I was there about 3 months ago. It has changed since.
Currently, we are building 2 bridges. We are taking out the aqua panel bridges and putting in concrete bridges. Currently, we are doing that. We did 2 last year since we came into government. We're doing 2 more this year. The intent is to remove all of the aqua panel bridges and put in concrete bridges. So we will have 6 lanes of traffic heading east, 4 on the Rupert Craig Highway and 2 from the railway embankment. So that is the intent. We're taking out the aqua panel bridges and they're putting in concrete bridges. So
okay, great, Minister. Will there be interconnection roads between the railway embankment and the Rupert Craig Highway? And in what intersection will there be interconnected roads?
There'll be 14 upgraded connector roads that are under construction as we speak. China Rail that built the highway from Better Hope to Belfield, we had some savings under that contract, and the government was able to put in another $670 million. And we're doing 14 roads along that alignment to connect the main road to the embankment. So there'll be 14 connectors that will be upgraded at strategic villages all along going up the East Coast.
And when that is done, Minister, would you consider making the railway embankment a one-way road so that it's easier for drivers to go around if these connecting roads are linked to the Rupert Craig Highway? Is that something that you've considered?
Well, the possibility of using it as one-ways in the morning coming down to east traffic congestion and one-way going up in the afternoon, something like that is being looked at. It has to do with volume and traffic flow. Those decisions are not political decisions. Those decisions are technical decisions after studies, and the engineers watch what is happening and they make their recommendations.
That's excellent, Minister. Dr. Rose?
Minister Edghill, no one can dispute the fact that since taking office a year, you have done a fantastic job in improving the infrastructure across the country, and including the cities. But can you reassure the nation that Georgia will not be flooded again?
No, I can't. I have spent last Christmas $350 million to desilt drains using community labor, clearing the channels, clearing the tunnels, getting communities engaged with buckets in those drains, taking out the silt. But when I do it at December last year, between then and now, the Mayor Town Council of Georgetown, which collects billions of dollars in taxes, have done 0. The National Drainage and Irrigation Authority have bought pumps. They have placed those pumps strategically to ensure that when the cokers have to be locked in the terms of the tide, the pumps can run. And every Guyanese knows the story. The pump attendants sleep when the rain is falling. I can't give you the assurance. What I can tell you is that the government of Guyana, President Irfan Ali and his administration, is doing everything that is possible to ensure that it don't happen. But the sabotage that we see sometimes, blatant neglect, brings suffering on people. You will recognize that President Ali has just, in his 1-year anniversary speech, he would have indicated a plan for us to be able to deal with drainage in South Georgetown, because South Georgetown is like a basin. Even after the rains have subsided and the rest of it and the other parts of the city are drained, water remains in South Georgetown. So we are looking at the development of a drainage plan for South Georgetown so we could get the water out as fast as is possible. But then there again, encouraged by the then PNC leaders, people squatted on the reserve where the machines needed to walk to dig those canals, where it was at Lane Avenue, Sussex Street, and you could go all the way. So now you have to be able to invest in pontoons to put machines on the pontoons in the water rather than the machines moving on the land. And when you have the pontoon in the water and you dig, you still have to have a truck that will collect the spoils to take it somewhere. And when you have houses and other electricity wires and all the rest of it is difficult. So under the circumstances, we have to devise new strategies and new plans, and we have our engineers looking at it. East Rungveld, Guyhock Park, North Georgetown, South Georgetown, Shirley Field, Ridley Square, Roxanne Burnham Gardens. These are all areas that we have to address drainage. And then we also have a situation where everybody who is building their home or improving their home, they bring in sand and they dump in the parapet. Most of it goes into the drain. Construction is over, but they don't ever clear the drain. The city council does nothing about that. So you clean the drains down the line, but people at the back are flooded. You have to now go and take out that sand from the drain, move the blockage. Some people actually put cofferdams to help with their construction, and they don't remove them after. So the guarantee that Georgetown will never flood again is not something that I could give the citizens of Guyana in an ironclad way, but I can certainly tell them the initiatives and the interventions of both the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, the Ministry of Public Works, the Ministry of Agriculture through the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority. His Excellency the President has established a task force that comprises those three ministries that we've been working together to look after the welfare of the people of Guyana, particularly where flooding is concerned.
Minister, I just give you praise about your infrastructure development, but there seems to be a major problem with road construction or road repairs. Contractors are given jobs to repair roads in the country, and taxpayers are paying an enormous sum of money to get these roads fixed. But 6 months after or less, potholes will appear on those roads again. And no contractor, no one is being held accountable. Are you satisfied with the level of technical expertise you have in your department to monitor these contractors to make sure that they put the right materials on the roads?
Dr. Rhodes, what I can tell you, the team of engineers that I have working with me, most, or if not the majority, I should say, are those that I met when I came here. We didn't bring in engineers. These are professionals that have been in this ministry, some of them for years, and they've been doing their work. The roads that you are referring to, where you will repair a road, and then a few months after potholes repair again, are what you would call roads that are being maintained. And the difficulty is with the sub-base. So you patch a hole here, and then another one open somewhere else. So you're forever patching the same road. That is why what we are doing now in our roads project, we're not just merely dealing with the top, but you will see us tearing up the road, taking out the entire sub-base, recreating the sub-base with sand, with loam, with crusher run, and then asphaltic concrete paving it. And that's the kind of work that we've been doing. I don't think that in the last 1 year, I've had the challenge of any contractor who have built a road and potholes appear within 6 months. The other thing that I need to say, when a contractor builds a road, there is what is called a defects liability period, and that is mostly for 1 year. Anything that happens within that, on that road, in terms of the deteriorating of that road within the year, they have to fix it at their cost as part of the defects liability period. And then there is what is called a retention. All the monies are not paid. There's about a 10%, 7%, 5%, depending on the size of the road and where the work is being done, in a retention that is being held, that if something goes wrong from the contractor, there is money to fix it. So there are measures in place to deal with that. But the engineering, the testing, and the rest of it, we have to step up on it. And you would have heard me say over and over, when I came to office, I said to all the contractors, you're not a hustler. We don't see you as a hustler. We see you as a partner in national development. And you're going to be judged based upon your track record. You do your work, you get more work. You don't do your work, you don't get more work. You could be the lowest bidder, but if your work is not of good quality, you will not be recommended, because we will inform the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board. Contractors who collect our money and don't implement projects, go to Miami and invest and don't build a road, and they're beyond the contractual time. Those things are things of the past. We are addressing these issues. And if you do see me around the country like you claim, it's because I'm on the engineers, the project managers, and I'm not taking air condition office reports. We're going out ourselves to see what is going on to ensure people are getting value for money. I'm big on value for money. And I'm saying the engineers that we have here, they are qualified. They just need to be conscientious and to do their job. And I've said to the engineers, just like I've said to the contractors, if I find you working for the contractor, you will not have a problem, because you'll be able to permanently work for the contractor. I've employed you to work for the ministry, which is to protect the government's interests. If you are protecting the contractor by allowing things that are shoddy to pass, you won't have a problem. You'll permanently work with the contractor because you wouldn't be on the government's payroll anymore. We've been seeing results.
Okay. Minister, this is a bit personal, but somewhere in the Marconi Expressway going east, there's a hole in the middle, almost close to the middle of the road, and there's a cone in that hole. So vehicle going east towards Rosignol will have to come over to the passage.
It is in the Maheka district, sir. Just after KK gas station. It is because we have failed culverts. We've just fixed one, and the contract for fixing the second one is being awarded.
But on top of the hole in the road.
Yes, it's because of a failed culvert on the road.
I got killed driving, coming back, wanting me the truck swerved to avoid it getting into that road. But I was told, Minister, that hole has been there since May.
Because we tried to fix it at the top surface, and because the culvert has failed, it is eroded again. So what we have done is tear up the entire road, put in a new culvert, and we have done one section, and we're now doing the second section. The contract for the award for the second one is being done.
But the hole is still there.
The work is ongoing right now as I speak.
Okay, Minister, I want to bring your attention to something I saw in Kingston. There are a number of buildings that belong to the Transport and Harbors Department since the train time was running. They said that's where the train used to put people out and so forth. And all those buildings have deteriorated and are left there to rot. Why is this happening? Where there's prime real estate land right there.
Well, you're coming to a good question. Why they're not being put into better use?
But you can't be put into better use because the buildings are rot, they're no good.
You will see significant changes in that regard. You will know that President Ali his doctorate is in urban planning, and he has a vision for the modernization of Guyana that you will see significant changes. You know, with Guyana being a tourist destination, lots of things are happening. I can't tell you everything here, but just keep watching. The Transport and Harbors Department is a very old institution. It has fallen on hard days with the removal of the train, the reduction in the ferries, and the rest of it. It has been having a hard time. So even maintenance of their physical infrastructure has been a challenge. But we are addressing those issues. We have to keep the vessels running. And we are doing that. We are bringing in a new modern ferry that is going to be about 12 million US dollars. We are retrofitting the stellings to allow for roll-on, roll-off facilities at both Georgetown, Mabaruma, Kumaka, Port Kaituma, Marijuana. So you will see a lot of things changing. Some of these assets are ripe for disposal. I know you might want to come and discuss about the Stabroek Market stelling and the Vreenoop stelling, what are plans you have for that. But just look and see with modernization, the rollout of the plans, because with oil and gas, waterfront property becomes important for development. And these are things that are being discussed. I can't give you all of the details because that would prejudice the outcome of some of these matters. But these are all things that are being considered. Where we have government offices is something that we should start looking at, because you're talking about prime real estate. I'm sitting in my office speaking to you tonight on this program, and I am about 3 minutes or 4 minutes walk away from the Marriott Hotel. I can't guarantee you that this office will remain and a hotel will not be here in another couple of years. I can't guarantee you that, because it's in a zone. The Pegasus Hotel has just put on a new block.
Okay, Minister. I want to bring your attention to something here that happened recently. As you know, I'm from the quarantine. And to take a bus or a car, well, it got to be cars though, because buses already run, from Rossignol to New Amsterdam is about $500 to cross the bridge and to get to New Amsterdam. But during the last government time, they had boats running the stelling between Rossignol and New Amsterdam, and it was about $150 to cross by boat. This government came into office and removed the boats.
That's not true. The boats were removed before we got here, sir. I never removed the boats. I never met them when I came.
Okay, Charles.
Minister, I just want to get back to the roads again. The Ogle to Timeri Road. I know that's in the works. Ogle to Eccles was the first phase.
Yes, sir.
Is that completed?
No, this is in the procurement stage.
Oh, so it's still in the process.
It's in the process, yes. It's in the procurement
stage. It's from Ogle to Eccles, then Eccles to Diamond.
And then Diamond to Mary.
So it will be parallel to the East Bank Road all the way. I mean, how far away from the existing East Bank Road will be the other parallel road?
The alignment will be in the lands, because when you put a new road, you must open up new lands.
That's correct. Yeah.
You must open up new lands. The intent must be able to open up new lands for housing, new lands for industrial development. So it will be in. Right now, the Ministry of Housing is building the Diamond to Mandela Road. They are working on the Eccles to Mandela section, and then they have to move from Eccles to Diamond. But that is to connect the existing housing areas. And that's a 4-lane road that will connect the existing housing areas. This Ogle to Timeri Road is going deeper in to open up thousands of acres of land.
New land, okay. So the existing road from Ogle to Eccles is not the same road you're talking about. Is it a new road you're talking about from Eccles to Timeri? From Ogle to Timeri?
Yes, it's a new road, brand new road.
No, the one that is planned to be built from Ogle to Eccles. The road you're talking about, or another road in addition to that?
No. The road that is moving Ogle to Eccles is the first phase of the road Ogle to Timeri. So okay. the connector road will be the Higgs Bush Road that will bring you out from way into the back all the way to the East Bank corridor.
Right. And that road from Ogle to Timeri will end up at Timeri.
Will end up at Timeri.
At the airport or on the highway?
Well, we want to get it to the airport. Remember, President Ali's also talking about Silica City, building a new city all the way on the highway. And that is not something that is being treated lightly. So that road will be connecting with that development out there as well.
And how many interconnected roads you think from the new highway to the East Bank Highway? How many interconnections you think will be?
There will have to be several interconnectors. I can think immediately about the one at Bagostown. We'll have to do Mocha. You'll have to take the Mocha Road further in. You'll have to take Diamond Road further in. We probably have to get a one higher up, maybe in the supply area. You'll have to get a number of connector roads. And that, again, that will be determined by engineering, traffic flow, and planning of the engineers.
Okay. Now, Minister, and you made a very good point there. With all these roads you talk about, from Versailles there to Parika, I guess the road from Parika to, is it to Linden or to Northwest?
To Goshen. Going to
all those roads will open up new industries again, open up new lands, as you said.
Yes.
Is it short-sightedness of the government now to give house lots to Guyanese in the traditional corridor along the Atlantic Ocean, when these roads are open up new lands and new industries? And if I get a house lot in this corridor that is currently giving out now, I build my house. What do I do with my house there if the job is available somewhere down in the interior?
It couldn't be short-sighted, sir. We've promised 50,000 house lots in 5 years. There's not enough land for 50,000 house lots in the traditional areas that you're accustomed to seeing people building houses.
So the rest of the house lot will be given in the areas as the open lands?
As we open up new lands, house lots will be distributed. And remember, we have also incentivized plantation agriculture. So a lot of these lands that will be opened up will also facilitate plantation agriculture. We are building the road all the way into Takama in the Berbice River, from the Linden-Soosdijk Highway through Millie's Hideout into Takama. That's a $500 million project, and that is to be able to ensure that we could get soybean and corn and open up that whole area for plantation agriculture. We're building the road from the Quarantine Highway all the way to the Kanchi Creek at number 58, and that is to open up lands for agriculture. And of course, once you build a road, people would also start living alongside of that road.
Right, exactly.
So you will see expansion in housing and people moving out of the center. And then once you have 4-lane highways and you could cut travel time, and then with our form of development, where we're not bringing all of the development in the city, but we're opening ICT hubs in the regions for people to get real ICT jobs, thousands of people working in call centers. We're going to move agro-processing, light manufacturing out to other areas. People would want to live in areas where they could work. So you will see malls developing, you will see housing development, you will see homesteads being built for the purposes of agriculture. It's going to be a massive move because the plan and the master plan is there.
And Minister, yeah, a good point is that, and my recommendation to your government is that we need to set up that land use policies, because if we make the same mistake, if we build a road from Versailles to Parika, for instance, let's say, and people live along the roadside, then guess what? You'll have to provide electricity, provide water, provide all these amenities. If we set up housing development areas and the government only allow people in those housing areas to build their houses, that will mitigate those things like what Bucharest did in the sugar industry. So it's just my recommendation, guard against people. Right now, as you know, we live along the corridors from Quarantine to Charity, and that costs tremendous amount to upkeep. Minister, the Linden to Lethem Road.
Yes, sir. What you want to know about it? That is at procurement stage. We've already had the contractors pre-qualified, and they are being the final list to put in the financial proposal is being fine-tuned. That is with the Caribbean Development Bank at this time for their no objection. We want to have a contract signed for that latest early December, before the CDB closes for business in 2021. We want to have that contract signed.
Will that road be able to take container trucks?
Well, sir, that is the intent. That is the intent. That road is taking container trucks right now with its loom and laterite surface. We are building an asphaltic concrete road, and that's the intent. And we're also looking at, in that same alignment, to include rail, because we want to be able to have containerized traffic by rail along the same alignment, and that is linked to the deep water harbor in Berbice. So this is not a standalone project. Again, some people would like to talk about the Linden Lethem Road, but we have to talk about connecting Guyana with South America, opening up new frontiers. So the deep water harbor at Berbice must be able to facilitate northern Brazil. It takes 7 days for containers on a ship to get out to the Atlantic from northern Brazil. But a deep water harbor in Guyana, in 24 to 36 hours, you are already at the deep water harbor into the Atlantic. So we have an advantage. So it's not just the road that is being built. The first phase is from Linden to Mabura Hill. We have the bridge across the Curupacari that we're looking at. We have to continue that. The bridge at the Takatu is already built with the support of the government of Brazil. That was done under the presidency of Dr. Barjagdio, and that was open. We have the connectivity. And when you get into Brazil, you're into all of South America because it is linked by way of a road network. So the deep water harbor at Berbice is being worked on as I speak, because we can't just have the road to Lethem without the deep water harbor. It will not serve its purpose.
And you have preempted my other question to you, Minister, and Mr. Moore asked me to ask you that about the railway link, and you have addressed it, so that will also be part of the development project of Guyana. But Mr. Minister, this will cost tremendous capital inflows. Where are we getting capital from to undertake all these things you talk about? And they're really great for Guyana's development. Where's the capital coming from?
Well, I can't speak everything here on this program, but we're engaging with a number of governments, a number of agencies, a number of investors, and all of it eventually would have to do with the price of financing. Where you get the money from will be largely determined with the price of financing. But we are aggressively out there. My colleague, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, his team, we're aggressively out there looking at all options. And then I'm sure somewhere along the line, with monies generated from our oil wealth, some of it will have to be used for Guyana's infrastructural development, the modernizing of this country to take us into the next level. Because our oil wealth must be used to make sure that agriculture is sustainable. Our oil wealth must be used to ensure that ecotourism survives, because tourism is a large job creator. Agriculture is a large job creator, while oil and gas is a wealth creator. It is not a job creator. And we have to ensure that our people get jobs. So to get to the eco lodges in the interior, we have to get the airstrips built so that the planes could land and take the tourists in. We have to get the roads that you could get the buses in. To expand agriculture, we have to get the farm to market access roads. We have to get the roads into the agro-processing and light manufacturing facilities. We have to be able to work in getting the quarantine bridge fixed so that we don't just be talking about the 750,000 people in Guyana, but the man who is bringing his pumpkins from Hubu's Baghdad could drive all the way over to Paramaribo and sell and come back home with the money to his wife. The peppers that sometimes rotten, the fruits that sometimes rot, we must be able to get it out into South America. So a road network creates opportunities for our people, and it supports several different sectors. mainly agriculture, tourism, our fisheries we must be able to get our shrimp as far as they can go, and our fresh vegetables and our pineapples. So financing for infrastructural development is not just about the road or the bridge, but it is also lending support to other sectors and ensuring that we could adequately deliver goods and services to all of our citizens. We must be able to get people to access to healthcare, to education. People must be able to get to a good hospital and get back home. Children must be able to get to a top-class secondary school and get back home within a 30-minute ride. So we don't have to have all of these dormitories where the children are living over. They could stay with their families in the family home. So infrastructural development is key for the development of social services. It is key to support other streams in our economy, whether it's gold or forestry or diamonds, and or it is agriculture. We have to be able to get that going. So infrastructure is important.
Minister, you have spoken a volume there and very, very sound presentation. But my recommendation to your government, that I told the Minister, Attorney General last week, if we can get 25% of our oil revenue currently now, and in the next 10 years, we will have enough funds to do all the projects that you're talking about. We don't have to go to the World Bank or IMF or the IDB. We will have quite a bit, but I wish the government well. I know we're running to program time, and Dr. Rose, Minister, you have to come back because the time runs out so fast, and we have so many other questions for you. Dr. Rose, anything to the Minister in closing?
I have a couple of quick questions to the Minister. Minister, talk about the boats of the Berbice River from Rosignol to Georgia. Do you intend to put them back to help the poor people cross at a cheaper rate?
At this particular time, I don't think there's such a demand. I think the greater demand is to get the ferry down the Berbice River, going all the way down to Kokwani, Develt, Sand Hills, Kimbia, Ibini, to get products out from those areas and to help the farmers there. And that will be supported by the road to Tacoma that we are building. What we have, we could genuinely address the price gouging, I would call it, of the taxis moving Rosignol to New Amsterdam. And that can be fixed. And I didn't have a report that it is still a problem, but if it is still a problem, it is something that can be fixed very easily, very easily.
Okay, Minister. Your ministry has always been plagued with a host of problems, including delayed projects, undone and substantial works. And I was told that you have installed what is called a tracking system to keep tab on all the projects in your ministry. Is that true? And if so, can you tell us how it's working?
Well, we do have a tracking system, and it is working. What we have to do is to ensure we are having accurate reports being fed from our engineers on the ground, and we are working on that. Let me just say, you can have the best system in place. What you need is people of high integrity, people who are conscientious, people who are patriotic, people who are not infidels to the hustle. And I think leadership is what makes the difference. And I think if there is something that has made a difference at the Ministry of Public Works, it's the kind of leadership that I bring. People would say, don't blow your own trumpet, but who knows the keys better than you? I don't take an approach of being confrontational with my engineers unnecessarily or with my staff. I'm building a team. I want to be able to build trust. I motivate them. I want a bunch of highly motivated people. I want them to be able to see the big picture of Guyana's development, and they must be able to see their errors, how it impacts the lives of so many people. And I must be able to show them the joys that people experience when they do their work right. And I think they are seeing that, and it is making a big difference.
One last question, Minister. I know we started late, so I'm going over a few minutes here. you have been a senior minister in the government. And I said this last week, and I'm going to keep repeating it until it ends. Why is it that most government departments are closed for lunch? Why can't there be a staggering system for lunch hour staggered system where some people take the lunch between 11 and 12, between 12 and 1 and so forth, so as to keep the system open so that people can go and get service during the entire period of a day and not wait from 12 to 1 until a department opens up. As a senior,
you're pushing at an open door.
Address this problem.
You're pushing at an open door, Dr. Rose, because my office opens at 8 o'clock, and you could still see that I'm still in my office up until now. But the Minister of Public Service has addressed this with Cabinet, and I can tell you that is a problem of the past. All government offices will continue to be open during the lunch period by way of a rotation basis. The Minister of Public Service has addressed this with the Cabinet, and a decision has been taken where that was not happening before, because some offices it was happening. But we have to deal with places like agencies, the NIS, the post office. We want to be able to ensure that it is across the board where government service is concerned, and the Minister of the Public Service, the Honorable Sonia Parag, has addressed this matter with the Cabinet. So you're pushing out an open door. It's a thing of the past. We're fixing that.
When this was addressed, Minister?
Quite recently, sir.
Just last week. Just last week, the department was closed. Lands and Service was closed.
Well, it shows that we still got more work to do, but I'm telling you, the Minister of Public Service has brought this to the attention of the Cabinet. Every minister has been instructed to ensure that the agencies that fall under their care, we continue to provide service to the public uninterrupted until the close of business every day.
Thanks, Minister. Thanks for that, and thanks for coming on the show at such a short notice. It has all been a pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure listeners love you because you give very, very powerful and I think genuine answers to the questions. Some might think otherwise, but I think that if you continue along those lines, then we're heading into the right direction towards development.
Just to let you know, sir, I am happy with criticism. I believe that you benefit from criticism. Criticism is not something I see as a bad. I have followed some of the comments on the ministry's Facebook page, and it has helped me to even address some of the issues. People in anger and in frustration vent, and that's not a bad thing. When people can exhale, you don't die because of what is outside trying to get in. You die because of what is inside and can't get out. So people must be allowed to exhale, and criticism allows for that. And we as your leaders, the people who have asked the Guyanese people to put us to serve you, we see ourselves as servant leaders. We don't see ourselves as rulers. We are here to serve the people. So we are responsive, we are sensitive, we are listening, we are in touch with the people, and we are doing what is good for Guyana. We might not be perfect, but I can tell you we are good for Guyana.
Minister, we want to thank you so much for being with us tonight. As I said, there's so many other questions that is still not asked because time has come, run out on us. But we ask of you to please come again sometime in the near future so we can continue discussion. We want to thank you for the work you're doing at your ministry and the plan that you laid out for us tonight. I think our viewers understand that there's a lot of work to be done, but you're very focused in what you want to get done. And we can see, Minister, by the end of this term, Guyana will definitely be transformed based on what you're telling us tonight.
It's our mandate, our responsibility, and our vision.
Well, thank you again, Minister. Thank you, Dr. Rose. To all our viewers out there, we want to thank you so much for being with us tonight. To Devin and to Nohar Singh, again, to all our viewers, God bless us and God bless our great country of Guyana. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.